Hello, I'm Cory King, co-owner and brewer at Side Project Brewing in St. Louis, Missouri. Thanks for joining me for another beer talk. We're in our barrel room where all these multi-beers age and sit until we're ready to blend and share with you. Today I'm talking about Continuance Blend number 7. I don't know why I'm thinking about this right now, weird note, but all the Continuance line, they follow the same wax colors as the Derivation line. Derivation number 7 was never wax dipped, so we had to come up with a new color for that. So that's why it's got this bright blue on it. So weird note, sorry, I don't know, I'm just thinking about that. Anyway, so Continuance number 7. The Continuance series is really our multi-version of what Pulling Nails is. So if you're familiar with Side Project, Pulling Nails is kind of an open-ended, blended, funky beer. It could be fruited, non-fruited. It could be really sour to just delicate and lovely, just all open to all of our barrel inventory to whatever we feel like we can blend the best of at that moment. We didn't have that for our multi-beers. And as we started experimenting with stouts blended with barley wines and different wild barrels and all these different things, I wanted an open-ended chapter, if you will, for creating these blends. So that's Continuance. With that, it allowed us also to do adjuncted barley wines. We hadn't done that before. We'd adjuncted a lot of stouts, and those are usually Derivation or some other things, but we never adjuncted barley wines to the level we are now. As we've done stouts for years, I love chocolate, absolutely love chocolate, and stouts kind of feed that chocolate need for me. But more recently, I've been becoming really intrigued by the caramels and these darker sugars and these different ways we can play with sugar in desserts, because most of our beers are inspired by food that we've had. So this Continuance follows that line. Continuance Blend number 7 is 2 beers blended together. It's actually a barley wine that was an experimental recipe for us that we actually used pecans in the mash time. Something that I learned a long time ago as a home brewer. It didn't translate to a big beer, to be honest with you. The pecans, you can barely taste a wisp of the nut. I wouldn't even have mentioned them if we didn't have to, because you can't really taste it that much, but it is a nut. And so we need to let all of you know that there is nuts in this beer. I don't want anybody getting hurt with that. So there's pecans in this beer because it was in the mash time. And that was one of the experimental recipes we did. That beer was aged for 27 months in oak. It was in Willett bourbon barrels before this blend. And then the other component of it is our English barley wine light, is what we call it. It's another experimental barley wine. We have a lot of experimental barley wines going, honestly, for the Continuance series, for blends, for our anniversary blends for barley wines. So the English barley wine light recipe, as we call it, was the other component of that, and that was all Asian Willett rye barrels. That kind of just softened up and brings forward, I say English barley wine light. We're looking more for the traditional, like real light toffee, a little bit fruitier, traditional old school kind of light barley wines. A lot of the barley wines that were released pre the movement of big craft beer were actually pretty light in color, surprisingly. And all of ours, if you notice, are pretty dark and almost black in color. But that adds a little richness and a lighter component to the beer that becomes a perfect blender. And that's why I've never released it by itself. And we blend it into a lot of our beers, especially our anniversary barley wines that you guys love so much. So once we kind of have an idea of what adjuncts are appealing to us or exciting to us at that moment, we kind of blend barrels, pick barrels for that. So Continuance Blend number 7, the adjuncts, the ingredients we wanted to use, or the idea we had was to do bananas, maple syrup, and cinnamon. We've all kind of had desserts that are kind of inspired by that, if you will, or almost even like a French toast. So with that, we use Thai banana nibs. We've used those before in Flambe and Brooklyn Vibes, our collab with Other Half. Maple syrup, which we've used many a time. We add maple syrup post-blending, just the right amount, I think, so you can get some of that sweetness and the mapley components without being just drinking sugar. And then cinnamon. I love cinnamon. You guys know that. But cinnamon maple with banana blended together was a new kind of mixture that when you write it out on paper, as opposed to putting that on chocolate, it sounded better with a caramel, and i.e. the base beer for this beer, which is barley wine. So that was how we blended to try to create that harmony amongst those components, just like a Derivation. So the Continuance series is the brother to the Derivation series, only just with a little bit more, I think, exploration and a little more freedom to do these other base beers, whether it's barley wine blended with a stout or just barley wine, or who knows, maybe there will be a Continuance one day that's just barley wine or an experimental barley wine that doesn't quite fit the Derivation namesake. So with that, that's a Continuance Blend number 7. Thank you for loving the series. We're on the 7 already, so we love blending these up, and this should be actually available soon for you as well. Cheers.